welcome to Computer Dungeon. This is our AOID episode, which is an always-on information display. What we're going to need is the first thing is a hand-me-down monitor or a really cheap monitor. As long as it has a VGA input or a DVI digital input. Also anything with an RCA input or an HDMI input will work. In the links, there's an Amazon shop with the cheapest VGA input monitor that I could find, which was around 60 bucks. Next thing you need to have is a Raspberry Pi Model B. This one has an HDMI output right there. That's the one piece that we need for our monitor. But that's not what we're going to focus on first. It's the power supply. You need to be very careful in your choice of power supplies. If you've ever heard of a power supply eating up a cell phone battery, that kind of power supply won't work. Rapid charging power supplies won't work. You need a really good, durable power supply. It needs to be 5 volts and somewhere between 0.7 and 1.5 amps. And here's one of those right here. Here's another kind. It has an unpluggable bit right there like that. Now, when you take it and you plug it in, just like that, you'll notice there's some indicator lights over here. The one at the top means activity, and it's green. The second one is power, and these three have to do with the internet right here, the Ethernet cord. The reason there's no activity, which is the light right above that, is because you need to have an SD card in this place right here. Now we have 2 numbers that you need to know about, and there are 2 types of cards. You need to know that you need to have at least 4 gigs, and for most of the projects on here you're going to need at least 8, maybe a 16. And the second number you need to know is this one right here. This is the class speed. You need a minimum of 4, but you don't really need a 6 or a 10 or any of the kinds that are for cameras. Also, if you get a micro, it also has to be a minimum of class 4. This one's a 16 gigabyte micro. But if you get a micro, you need an adapter in order to get it into the Pi. Now after inserting it into the Pi, you can cycle the power, and there you see activity. And then you wait the long, awkward pause, and there we have it booting up. In order to get control of this whole little thing, you're going to need an Ethernet connection. These 3 lights right here indicate that Ethernet is working, basically. And you use the Ethernet in order to program it to use a Wi-Fi dongle. Now there's a lot of options when it comes to Wi-Fi dongles. This one right here is the 8188, or you know, that whatever, and this one's the RT5370. There's some kind of dynamic between the power supply and the USB. For example, this one here will not work if a monitor is plugged in. I don't know if that's true for other models of the 8188. So for this project, this one is the only one that actually seems to work. Also, obviously because this one has an antenna, it has greater range, and since this one doesn't have an antenna, it has greater durability. Right, moving on. The next thing we need to figure out is how to get the video out of the Raspberry Pi into the monitor. Now, we have a couple of options here. There's an HDMI output and an RCA output. Now, if you're lucky, your monitor or TV will have a HDMI input, and you could just run a cord, or the same with a RCA. But for most of the cheaper monitors or hand-me-down type monitors, you're either going to have to use VGA only, or VGA and DVI, and you need to make sure that your monitor can accept DVI digital. If it doesn't accept DVI digital, because the HDMI output's only digital, you're not going to be able to plug into that. But here are the tools for that. First, this one right here is an HDMI to VGA converter, and this does draw a little bit of power from the actual HDMI, which might explain why this particular Wi-Fi dongle doesn't work, but does work on other occasions. This plugs right in here, and then you need to plug a VGA cord into that, and then plug that VGA cord into your monitor. There's also another way of doing it. If you do have a monitor that accepts a DVI digital, this is a adapter from HDMI to DVI digital. You can plug that in there, upside down. Nice indicator light on it. And then again, you do need another cord to plug that into the monitor. Some monitors have speakers, so a 3.5 millimeter just basic headphone jack with 2 male ends. It can be useful if you have a monitor that actually has speakers built into it. Here you see the back side of a stripped down monitor. This is all the parts assembled. Basically you won't really see this because it'll be hanging like a picture frame with this right here. Just a piece of cord strung out. This whole monitor, I ripped off all the plastic and all the branding and everything like that in order to get down and you know, take it apart. You know, the idea would be to eventually turn it in, put an actual frame around it, and turn it into something that looked a lot you know, more elegant. But this is just the prototype, so of course there's wires hanging out everywhere and pieces sticking out and extra duct tape on it and things like that. And this is it in action. The always-on information display showing fractals, not information. If you'd like to see one of the tutorials where we actually display information, subscribe or find one of the links below, search the channel, like it. There's also a Amazon store in the links below or somewhere around here that has most of the products that we talked about today in it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.